Good morning to all of you. So now onwards we are talking about the estrogens, progestins and hormonal contraceptives. Estrogens, it also called the female sex hormones, and how this word estrogen it's come. Okay, so it's coming from the estrus word. Okay, so what is the meaning of estrus? So in various mammals, particularly in female mammals, there is a time period in sexual cycle of the these females. During this period, this female uh, accept the male and ready to mate with them. So its word estrus or oestrus. Okay, so it's the estrogen word come from this estrus. So during this period, this female part of the various mammals accept their male partner. Okay, so one substance which is responsible for this, and it is the estrogens. So we coin the term, it is the estrogens. So we have the three natural estrogens: estradiol. Okay, one thing is a estradiol, second one estrone and estriol. So these three are the natural estrogens, and in that there is a estradiol is a major thing. So how it's come? It's come from the cholesterol. Okay, it is synthesized from the cholesterol in the Graafian follicles, corpus luteum, and the placenta. Also, androgen it convert into the estrogen by this aromatization. Okay, testosterone it is converted into the estradiol, androstenedione it is converted into the estrone, and we have the these reaction inhibit by the substance of the one substance from one group, it is a aromatization inhibitor. Okay, so we have the two or three drug which inhibit this process. So ultimately there is a no formation of the estrogen, and it is the useful in the various carcinoma also. We see in the later part. So it is about the how the name of the estrogens and natural estrogens. Okay, so here is the classification of the estrogens. Natural estrogens, there is a estradiol, estrone and estriol. Synthetic, there is a ethinyl estradiol, mestrenol, tibolone, and there is a non-steroidal estrogens also. There is a diethyl stilbestrol, hexasterol and dinesterol. But most of the preparation, it contains the ethinyl estradiol. Previously also there is a one this tibolone. It's popular, but nowadays it also not useful because of there is a weak androgenic activity. So there is a various ADR with this tibolone. So previously it's a use as a estrogen in the HRT, but nowadays it is not useful as much because there is a various ADR. So we are using the ethinyl estradiol. Try to remember this name. Okay, ethinyl estradiol. Most of the preparation of the HRT and other it's contain the ethinyl estradiol. Okay, so let's see the regulation of the secretion of the estrogen. So it is a vary in the range 10 to 100 microgram daily secretion of the estrogen, and it is depend on the age of the female also the in which cycle also. Okay, so this estrogen it's increase during the follicular phase. After the ovulation, the corpus luteum continues to secrete the estrogen till about the 2 days before the menstruation. So it during the estrogen also. During pregnancy also there is a placenta secrete the estrogen, and it is a 30 milligram per day. Okay, it is a very high in range, 30 milligram per day. Post menopausal woman, there is a decrease in the estrogen secretion, and let's see here 2 to 10 microgram. Okay, and main source it is from the extra glandular aromatization, and this aromatization is from the adrenal and various androgen. Okay, so in postmenopausal woman quantity also decrease, and formation of this quantity of the estrogen it's come from the androgen. Okay, during pregnancy the major source is the placenta. So try to remember this thing. Okay, so let's see the various actions, pharmacological actions of the estrogens. Okay, and it is also the physiological cause because it is available in the our body as a physiological. So these are the sex organs, secondary sexual characteristics, and various metabolic change. Okay, it is responsible, this estrogen is responsible for the various sex it is responsible for changes in the sex organ, secondary sexual characteristics, and metabolic changes. So let's see here the which are the changes during this in the sex organs. Okay, so ultimately it is the development, growth of the uterus, fallopian tube, and vagina. Okay, so this it is a major role in the vaginal epithelium. Vaginal epithelium became the thickened, stratified, and cornified. So ultimately it is responsible for the proliferation of the endometrium. Okay, and it is ready for the pre-ovulatory phase. So it is the proliferation of the endometrium. Estrogen also responsible for the withdrawal bleeding if there is a alone estrogen cycle. Okay, but normally in normal menses, normal menstrual cycle, there is a bleeding, it is due to the progesterone withdrawal. Okay, normally there is a progesterone withdrawal, but estrogen also may have some role in the withdrawal bleeding also. So what is the role? It is the sex or it is the sex hormones. Okay, it is the female sex hormones. Ultimately it is the role in the fertility. Okay, so if we want the pregnancy, then ultimately we need the sperm penetration, and for this sperm penetration there is a various changes in the sex organs, like the particularly in the vagina, in the uterus, okay, in the fallopian tube. So there is a rhythmic contraction, which occurs in the fallopian tube and uterus, and also the alkaline secretion from the cervix. So there is a sperm penetrate the ova. Okay, ovum. Okay, so it's easy to reach the sperm to the ovum. So these change are the necessary for fertilization of the ovum. Then the secondary sexual characteristics. So ultimately it is responsible for the growth of the breast. There is a proliferation of the duct and stroma. Okay, and accumulation of the fat. So it is responsible for the each and every secondary sexual characteristic of the female. So there is a pubic and axillary hairs. Also it is responsible for the acne also, because there is some amount of the androgen produced simultaneously with this production of the estrogen. Okay, so it is a secondary sexual characteristic and for the sex organ, development of the secondary sexual characteristic and sex organs. Let's see the metabolic effect. So in the metabolic effect, it's the estrogen, it is the anabolic. If we give this to the children, male or female, ultimately there is a epiphysis fusion occur. Okay, so there is a storage structure. So we are avoiding it. It is also good estrogen pre-menopausal woman. There is a lots of estrogen. So there is a lesser chances of the fracture. Okay, lesser chances of the fracture. Then there is a age increase, decrease in the estrogen, and there is a more chances of the fracture. Why? Because this estrogen, it is ultimately inhibit the osteoporosis. How it inhibits the osteoporosis? It inhibits the osteoclast pit formation. Okay, and increase the various bone matrix proteins which we see in the calcium metabolism. Okay, so ultimately it inhibits the osteoclast, and this osteoclast is the responsible for the bone resorption. Okay, so it's prevented. So it is a prevented the osteoporosis. But nowadays we are not using this estrogen as a drug of choice for the osteoporosis. particularly in the prevention also and for the treatment part also, because this estrogen having the various ADR, okay, various metabolic changes which are we do not need, okay, like this coagulability. There is an increase in the coagulability, so it is a increase the coagulation factor 2, 7, 9 and 10, so there is a chances of the thromboembolic event, okay, there is a chances of the MI, angina, coronary artery disease, so we are avoiding it. Then there is a mild edema, BP may increase. Also there is a glucose intolerance, so it may predispose to hyperglycemia, particularly in the diabetic patient. It decreases the LDL cholesterol, but there is a chances of the increase of the HDL and triglyceride, and this triglyceride is not good for us. Okay, HDL is good for us, but triglyceride is not good for us. It also, there is a vasodilatation with this estrogen, because it's the nitric oxide synthesis. There is a nitric oxide production and PGI2, which is responsible for the vasodilatation. Also there is a gallbladder disease or gallbladder stone. There is an increase in the lithogenicity of the bile with this estrogen, so it's not good for us. So why the estrogen it is not for the osteoporosis use? Because having the various ADR like the gallbladder disease, this, okay, so there is a chance of the coronary artery disease, okay, so we are not using this as a drug of choice. Let's see the mechanism of action of the estrogens, how it works. So it's worked by the estrogen receptor, two types, estrogen receptor alpha and beta, and this ultimately this receptor it's just analogous with the steroid receptors. How the steroid work? It is a nuclear receptor, okay, then there is a we give the glucocorticoid binding with the domain. Ultimately there is a dimerization, okay, there is a dimer formation of this then it going into the nucleus, and binding with the glucocorticoid response element, okay, then there is a formation of the co-activator and there is a co-repressor, okay, so various structural proteins is formed and ultimately there is a co-activator and co-repressor. So just like that this estrogen it is work, okay, estrogen binding with the estrogen receptor just like the glucocorticoid. So we are not going into the detail in how it's work. Let's see the pharmacokinetics of the estrogen. So there is a natural estrogen, it is inactivated by the oral route. So we invented the ethinyl estradiol and other groups, and this natural estrogen if we give by the oral route, then there is a rapid metabolism in the liver, okay, there is a rapid metabolism in the liver and it is a destroy. It also useful by the transdermally, okay, transdermal delivery systems we are giving. Also if you want to give the for the longer time use, then there is a intramuscular route, there is a depot injection, okay, it is excreted mostly in the urine and bile, okay, so more potent, orally active and more popular is the ethinyl estradiol. So this ethinyl estradiol it is a useful T-half is a 12 to 24 hours, okay, try to remember this thing. Let's see the various preparation and doses of the estrogen. So if we talk about the ethinyl estradiol, this ethinyl estradiol, okay, if we talk about the ethinyl estradiol, then it is about 0.1 milligram. It is equal to the diethylstilbestrol 10 milligram. So ultimately it is about the potency, okay, there is a difference in the potency, okay, and some difference in the longer acting. So if we want to the for the longer time effect, then we give the intramuscular dose depot injections, okay, otherwise we are using the oral treatment, okay. If we want to avoid some ADR, then we are using this by the transdermal therapeutic systems, okay, transdermal therapeutic system TTS estradiol, okay. So what is the main advantages of this transdermal delivery systems? Okay, so when we give the orally there is a various ADR like this increase the coagulation factor. Okay, so major delivery of the estrogen to the liver part. Okay, so ultimately we want to avoid this thing. Ultimately we want to avoid the this thing, high delivery of the ethinyl estradiol or any other estrogen, and ultimately we want to the decrease in the coagulation factor which is increased 2, 7, 9, 10 by the estrogen. We do not want this thing. Okay, so these are not occur or laser occur with the transdermal delivery systems, and which is good for us. Also there is a angiotensinogen which is increased by this orally route, so we want to avoid this and by this transdermal drug delivery systems. Okay, so when we give the we want the hormone replacement therapy as a in postmenopausal women, so we are given with this transdermal estradiol preparation, particularly the 0.05 milligram per day. Okay, it release 0.05 milligram per day estradiol, and it is good for patients. Okay, so then uses how these estrogen it is used, and particularly the one thing it is a hormone replacement therapy. Okay, this HRT, hormone replacement therapy or menopausal hormone therapy. Okay, so this is a HRT, hormone replacement therapy or menopausal hormone therapy. So why we give this? Because in the menopausal woman there is a various changes, particularly this vasomotor disturbances, urogenital atrophy, osteoporosis, dermatological changes, psychological changes, and increased risk of the various cardiovascular disease. Okay, so particularly the major thing or main thing which is controlled by this hormone replacement therapy, it is the vasomotor symptom or vasomotor disturbances. There is a hot places. Okay, there is a inappropriate sweating. Okay, and there is a various pain. Okay, pain at various side. So these vasomotor disturbances which is more controlled by this hormone replacement therapy. Okay, and it is a good to control these vasomotor symptoms in postmenopausal woman or before menopause. There is a some woman there is a vasomotor disturbance, then there is a give the HRT. Okay, particularly orally and transdermally. Then urogenital atrophy, there is a various changes and the various changes in the urogenital tract. Okay, there is a vaginal dryness, so there is a dryness in vagina, vulval shrinkage. There is a dyspareunia, pain during the intercourse, itching. Okay, and ultimately there is a chances of the UTI. So this urogenital atrophy HRT, if we want to use, then we have to use the estrogen alone and the estrogen by the local route, local application of the estrogen. Okay, so there is no need of the HRT by the oral route or transdermal direct delivery system, particularly for the dyspareunia. Okay, so if you want to control these local symptoms, then we give the local application, local cream of the estrogen. Then osteoporosis, we already talk about the osteopid formation. It is inhibited, osteopid formation, it is inhibited by this estrogen. Okay, so if there is no estrogen, then there is a chances of the osteoporosis. But nowadays this in osteoporosis we are not using the estrogen therapy because of the various ADR. Try to remember this thing. Okay, dermatological changes, there is a thinning, drying, and there is a loss of elasticity of the skin. Okay, and there is a wrinkleness. So there is a particularly cream if you apply to the face, then there is it may be improve the dermatological changes. Okay, psychological and cognitive disturbances, there is a irritability, there is a depression, loss of libido, decrease in the self confidence. Okay, these are the changes which occurred with the in the menopausal woman, psychological and cognitive disturbances. Then there is a chances of the increase the risk of the coronary vascular disease. But it also, if we give the HRT, then there is a estrogen, there is a 2, 7, 9, 10, and there is an increase in the coagulability of the blood, then there is a chances of the CVD. So this HRT is the controversial, so it is not useful for the prevention or the secondary prevention of the cardiovascular disease. Okay, so how this HRT is given? So ultimately, various point, and particularly here the some point I mentioned, the individual woman should be assessed. So every woman should be assessed. It is a need of the HRT or not. It is definitely give to the young woman with premature menopause. If there is a premature menopause, then definitely we give this HRT. Okay, and there is a it's a good improvement. Okay, if you want to give the HRT, then in the hysterectomized woman, then we give the estrogen alone because we want to avoid the progesterone side effect, progestin ADR. Okay, if we want to give the HRT, then try to give with the transdermal hormonal replacement therapy and then oral progestin. Okay, estrogen we give with this transdermal derivative. Why? Because ultimately we want to decrease the delivery of the estrogen to the liver. Okay, so various angiotensinogen, and there is a various coagulative factor which is more increased if we directly deliver to this estrogen to the liver, so it decrease. So there is a various ADR which seen with the oral estrogen, it is a decrease in this transdermal drug delivery systems. Okay, so particularly we see the various disturbances, vasomotor disturbances, urogenital atrophy, osteoporosis, dermatological changes, psychological disturbances. So in all that, the particularly one, it is the vasomotor symptoms. These vasomotor symptoms respond promptly also and completely also. So definitely it is useful for the vasomotor symptoms, but it is not a useful as much as the controlling the vasomotor symptoms like the osteoporosis. Okay, so it is a not, if there is a osteoporosis, there is a no role of the estrogen. If I am saying about that, then because various ADR. Okay, so if you want to give, then there is a drug of choice is a bisphosphonates, and we discuss in the later part of the endocrine systems. Okay, calcium balance. Okay, then cardiovascular events, ultimately it cannot prevent the coronary artery disease, and there is a chances of the increase the coronary artery disease because of the estrogen. There is a increase in the coagulability. Cognitive function dementia, there is a no protection in the Alzheimer or any other disease. Okay, and particularly carcinoma, this combined HRT increase the incidence of the breast cancer, and this breast cancer particularly responsible for the breast cancer is the medroxyprogesterone acetate, progestin. Okay, estrogen also may cause the endometrial hyperplasia, proliferation of the endometrial, and ultimately it is responsible for the endometrial carcinoma. Okay, so estrogen is the endometrial carcinoma. If we give HRT, combine HRT, progesterone, then there is chance of the breast cancer. Okay, so ultimately if we give then lower dose and unopposed estrogen, matlab progesterone nahi, then unopposed estrogen does not increase the endometrial carcinoma of the risk. Unopposed estrogen lower dose if we give, then it is a there is a lesser chances of the endometrial carcinoma. Then adverse effects. Okay, so let's discuss the various adverse effects. So it's a female sex hormone. It's a female sex hormone. Okay, so if we give to the male, then there is a suppression of libido, gynecomastia, and feminization. Okay, this feminization. So ultimately we do not give to the male. Okay, earlier I talk about the fusion of the epiphysis. It is if we give in the children, then the fusion of a epiphysis and short stature. E for E, estrogen, it is responsible for the endometrial carcinoma. It is increase the size of the existing breast cancer. Okay, so breast cancer agar hai, then there is a increase the size of the breast cancer. Again there is a increase in the lithogenicity, gallstone formation, hepatoma. Okay, ultimately more estrogen delivery to the hepatic liver side, so there is a hepatoma, benign hepatoma. Migraine, epilepsy, and endometriosis, if there, then there is a version with this estrogen. So let's see other uses of this estrogen than the hormonal replacement therapy. So these are the senile vaginitis. Okay, senile vaginitis. There is a crowrosis vulva. Okay, so ultimately it relieves the symptoms. by the topical preparations. Okay, so if we want to prevent or treat the atrophic vaginitis, then we give this estrogen. Okay, then delay puberty in the girls. If there is a delay puberty in girls, primary hypogonadism, Turner syndrome. Okay, so if there is a hypopituitarism, so we give the cyclic estrogen treatment up to at the age of 12 to 13 years, and ultimately when there is a adult, then we also give the cyclic progestin for the menstruation. Okay, and this therapy is continue up till the 50 years. Okay, because of the there is a primary hypogonadism. Okay, so it is continuing up to the 50 years. Then if there is a dysmenorrhea, in dysmenorrhea also, dysmenorrhea, okay, there is a pain during the menstrual cycle, then there is a main role is the prostaglandin synthesis. It is more. So if we give the prostaglandin synthesis inhibitor like the mefenamic acid, okay, mefenamic acid, it is the first line of the drug. Okay, we are not giving the estrogen, but estrogen has some role in the dysmenorrhea, but we use the prostaglandin synthesis inhibitor. Okay, so let's another various drug which related to the estrogen. So first one we have the synthetic estrogen. Okay, so we have the synthetic estrogen. This synthetic estrogens have like the tibolone, like the word tibolone, some particular drug and some related fact. Tibolone, T2T, T2T. So there is a three effect. It estrogen also, there is a progesteronal effect also, and weak androgenic action also with this tibolone. Okay, estrogen, progesterone, and weak androgen. But due to this weak androgenic effect and also various ADR like the weight gain, increased facial hair, and sometimes vaginal spotting. Okay, so nowadays this tibolone is not a useful in the estrogen preparations. Okay, so try to remember this thing. Then if we talk about the various drug, then we have the three particular group. One is the anti-estrogen. One is the anti-estrogen. Second one is the selective estrogen receptor down regulator. Selective estrogen receptor down regulator. And third one is the selective estrogen receptor modulator. Okay, SERM. Okay, and this is the more useful nowadays. Okay, selective estrogen receptor modulator. In anti-estrogen, if we talk about, then is the clomiphene citrate. Okay, how this clomiphene citrate anti-estrogen is the different. This anti-estrogen is different from the selective estrogen receptor down regulator. So this anti-estrogen in it is a estrogen antagonist in human, but in some other animals it also the weak agonist activity. Okay, there is a weak agonist activity, but this selective estrogen receptor down regulator like the fulvestrant. Okay, selective estrogen receptor down regulator fulvestrant, it not having any agonist activity. It is a pure estrogen antagonist. Okay, it is a pure estrogen antagonist. This selective estrogen receptor down regulators. Okay, so it is a major difference. So let's see the first the selective estrogen receptor anti-estrogen clomiphene citrate. Okay, clomiphene citrate. So if we talk about this drug, then it ultimately induce the gonadotropin secretion in the woman. Okay, in female it increase the gonadotropin secretion. Okay, by the inhibit the estrogenic feedback to the pituitary. So ultimately there is an increase in the FSH and LH. So there is a more stimulation to the ovary. Okay, and ultimately there is a ovulation occur. So if there is an anovulatory cycle, infertility, okay, due to the failure of the ovulation, then we are using this clomiphene citrate, and dose is a 50 milligram OD for 5 days from the 5th day of the cycle. From the 5th day of the cycle, 50 milligram OD for the 5 days starting from the 5th day of the cycle. This clomiphene citrate ultimately increase the ovulation, and ultimately there is a conception occur. Okay, so if we give for the 1 to 2 month and there is a no pregnancy, then we increase the dose for 2 to 3 cycles more. Okay, matlab 2 to 3 months. But we are not giving more than 6 months. Okay. Also, we add the various gonadotropins. In previous lecture, we discussed about the gonadotropins. So, if we want to the controlled, okay, or more maturation of the ova, then we give the follicle stimulating hormone, okay, menotropins during this therapy also. So, this clomiphene citrate, it used for the ovulation. It also aid in vitro fertilization. Okay, so in vitro fertilization, it also for the maturation of the several ova at same time. Okay, it also useful in the oligospermia. Okay, oligospermia, but it is a weaker effect. Success rate is a very low. Okay, if we talk about the ADR, then it is a stimulation to the ovary. So there is a polycystic ovary. Okay, polycystic ovary. There is a chance of the multiple pregnancy. Okay, also there is a vertigo, gastric upset, allergy with this dermatitis, allergic dermatitis with this drug. Okay, so this main is a PCO, polycystic ovary, and multiple pregnancy with this clomiphene citrate and other selective estrogen receptor modulator also. Okay, so these are the clomiphene citrate anti-estrogen. Then we have the drug, it is a selective estrogen down regulator. So it is a pure anti-estrogenic activity. How this pure anti-estrogenic activity come, estrogen antagonist come? Okay, so it is ultimately, it contrasts to the tamoxifen. It inhibits the estrogen receptor dimerization. Okay, so there is no dimerization or formation of the estrogen receptor. It is not interact with the DNA. So ultimately, it is there is a estrogen receptor responsive element. Okay, so there is a no co-activator or no co-repressor. Okay, so there is a down regulation with this estrogen receptor, and ultimately it is a destroy. This estrogen receptor is a destroy. So it is a useful. It is a useful in the breast cancer, carcinoma of the breast. Okay, so it is a locally advanced carcinoma of the breast or metastatic estrogen receptor positive breast cancer. Then we give this into the postmenopausal woman, and is the selective estrogen receptor down regulator fulvestrant. Okay, this fulvestrant. Okay, then other drug, it is called the selective estrogen. It's called the selective estrogen receptor modulator, SERM. Okay, it's called the selective estrogen receptor modulator. So we have the various drug like the tamoxifen citrate, raloxifene, and tormifen. Okay, tamoxifen. Okay, then raloxifene, and then tormifen. Okay, so these are the drugs, 3 drugs. It's called the selective estrogen receptor modulator. So it is the some tissue there is a agonist activity, some tissue there is a antagonist activity. Okay, so it's called the selective estrogen receptor modulator. So let's see the first one. It is a tamoxifen citrate. So this tamoxifen citrate, it is a potent estrogen antagonist. Okay, it is a estrogen antagonist. It which tissue? So estrogen antagonist in the breast tissue. Okay, but it is a partial agonist but it is a partial agonist in uterus, bond, liver and pituitary. ओके, सो यहाँ पे ईस्ट्रोजन जैसी इफेक्ट आएगी, ईस्ट्रोजन एगोनिस्ट, सॉरी अपोजिट इफेक्ट आएगी ईस्ट्रोजन एंटागोनिस्ट, एंड यहाँ पे इट जस्ट लाइक द ईस्ट्रोजन अगोनिस्ट, ईस्ट्रोजन के जैसी. ओके, सो इट्स ऑल अबाउट द हाउ इट इज एक्ट. ओके, सो दिस tamoxifen and it is an antagonist in the breast tissue, so it is an antagonism on the breast carcinoma. So it also useful in the breast cancer, particularly the estrogen receptor positive breast carcinoma. But we have the more effective drug. It is a AI aromatase inhibitor. Okay, one group, it is a previously we told about aromatization, okay, from the testosterone and androstenedione there is a formation of the estradiol and estrone by the aromatization. Okay, and this aromatization inhibitor by this drug, particularly drug, it is a letrozole, anastrozole and exemestane. Okay, letrozole, okay, anastrozole and exemestane. So these are the three drugs which called the AI, okay, aromatization inhibitor or aromatase inhibitor. So these are the more useful. Okay, these are the more useful in the advanced cases or if there is a tamoxifen not responsive. Okay, so if you want to use this tamoxifen, then we prophylaxis for the only for the 5 years or just sometime only to 2 years. We are not beyond the 5 years. Okay, because there is a chances of the various ADR. Okay, there is a venous thromboembolism. There is a venous thromboembolism, and ultimately there is a chances of the pulmonary embolism. Okay, venous thromboembolism, pulmonary embolism. So it is a various dangerous. Okay, it is a dangerous for us. There is a chance of the death. So we are not using this drug beyond the 2 year also. Sometimes 2 year also. Okay, so if if you want to use, then ultimately we replace this drug after the 2 year and advanced carcinoma. We use the aromatase inhibitor. Aromatase inhibitor we are using. Okay, dose of this tamoxifen, it is 20 milligram per day mostly. Okay, so these are the 20 milligram per day. If you talk about the various ADR, then particularly this venous thromboembolism, try to remember because it's not useful as much as the aromatase inhibitor. Okay, so why it is not useful for longer time? Because of this venous thromboembolism. Okay, so these hot places, vomiting, raises, vaginal bleeding, it also occurs with the tamoxifen. There is a dermatitis, anorexia. Okay, but main thing is the venous thromboembolism. So try to remember this thing, venous thromboembolism. Okay, venous thromboembolism, and if person is asked in the viva, some sir, okay, then told about this venous thromboembolism first. Okay, toremifen is just same. It is like the tamoxifen. Then we have the raloxifene. Okay, raloxifene, and this raloxifene, it is an estrogen agonist in bone, lipid and cardiovascular system. So this raloxifene, it is useful in osteoporosis. This raloxifene, it is useful in the osteoporosis, but we already talked previously in osteoporosis, drug of choice is a bisphosphonate. Okay, why? Because with this raloxifene also we having the various ADR, and it is not much as effective as the bisphosphonate. Okay, so it's a less efficacious than the bisphosphonate, also having the ADR, so we are not using it. But it estrogen effect also having, it decrease the LDL cholesterol. Okay, and also the LDL cholesterol decrease, but there is a no increase of the HDL with this drug. So it's good for us, but there is a not for the prevention of the coronary artery disease. It is not proliferate of the endometrium. Okay, so there is a no risk of the endometrial carcinoma. Okay. Also, there is no relief of the menopausal vasomotor symptoms. Okay, so raloxifene it is particularly for the osteoporosis. Okay, one thing. If we talk about the side effects, okay, then again it's a deep vein thrombosis, okay, venous thromboembolism, pulmonary embolism is the same risk with this raloxifene. So we are not using this raloxifene for the osteoporosis also, because we have the more efficacious and laser drug with the laser ADR. It is available, so we are not using this drug. Okay, then another group is the aromatase inhibitor. Okay, aromatization inhibitor, it is a letrozole, anastrozole and exemestane. These are the drug. Ultimately there is a testosterone. Okay, there is a testosterone, then it's converted into the estradiol. So this aromatization is inhibited by this group of the drug. So first drug is the letrozole. It is a orally active non-steroidal compound. Okay, and this letrozole and anastrozole, it is reversibly inhibit. It is a reversible inhibit. Okay, try to remember this thing. Letrozole, anastrozole, there is a reversibly inhibit the aromatization. But this exemestane, it is a irreversible. Okay, there is a suicidal inhibitor type. There is a covalent binding with this enzyme, and it is an irreversible inhibitor. So letrozole, anastrozole, there is a reversible. Exemestane, there is a irreversible. Okay, so this letrozole, where do we use this letrozole? Okay, so this aromatization inhibitor, ultimately it is not useful then when we have the पोस्ट मेनोपोजल. ओके, मतलब मेनोपोज अगर नहीं आया है, देन इज द प्री मेनोपोजल, एंड इफ देर इज अ ओवरी इज प्रेजेंट, देन वी आर नॉट यूजिंग. ओके, so where to use this drug? This drug we are using in the early breast carcinoma and also in the advanced breast cancer. Okay, so this is useful in the early case of the carcinoma breast cancer and advanced breast cancer. So estrogen positive postmenopausal woman, early carcinoma, we give the tamoxifen for the 2 years. Then if there is no cure, okay, then we give the drug. It is a letrozole. It's a 2.5 milligram OD. Okay, it also having the various ADR like the hot places, vaginal dryness, okay, particularly the joint pain, also stiffness also. But main thing with this letrozole, one advantage is, and these advantages is more for us, it is a no venous thromboembolism. Okay, so it is a risk free, this venous thromboembolism. So it is a use more time. We are not using the tamoxifen greater than 5 years. Okay, but we can use this letrozole. Okay, again the drug, it is the anastrozole. It is the same, reversible, inhibit the aromatization. Other drug, it is the exemestane. Okay, and it is just like a suicide. Okay, there is a binding with the covalent binding with the enzyme, and ultimately there is a 90% suppression of the estradiol production. It's obtained with this hexamestane. Okay, it also having the weak androgenic property. So this drug is a useful hexamestane in advanced breast cancer. Okay, dose is a 25 milligram OD. And if patient receiving the any CYP3A4 inducer drug, so there is a induce the metabolism of this drug, then we have to increase the dose, and it is a 50 milligram OD. So these are the drugs. It is a aromatase inhibitor, and it is useful in the breast carcinoma, early breast carcinoma also, and advanced breast carcinoma also. So we in today's lecture we ultimately talk about the estrogen, anti-estrogen, selective estrogen receptor downregulator, selective estrogen receptor modulators, and aromatase inhibitor. Okay, so it is about the today's lecture. Let's compare some various features with the letrozole to the tamoxifen. Okay, so first one, this inhibit the production of the estrogen in all tissue, nearly total estrogen deprivation. This tamoxifen is a particularly no antagonism in the all tissue, because some having the agonist activity. It is not to be used in the premenopausal woman, this letrozole. It can be used. This can be used. Okay. Then third one, more effective delaying in the recurrence early stage of the breast carcinoma is also the adjuvant therapy also. It is less effective. So ultimately more effective is this letrozole aromatase inhibitor. Okay. Drug therapy for the breast carcinoma, this aromatase inhibitor is a more effective and more safer. So it is a good choice for the breast carcinoma. Okay, let's see the various ADR. So this having the no effect in the lipid profile, it improves the lipid profile. There is the LDL cholesterol decrease. Okay, no bone loss or no increase in the fracture with this tamoxifen. There is a chances of the accelerated bone loss or predisposed to fracture with this. But main ADR which is seen with this tamoxifen, it is a thromboembolism. It is not seen with this aromatase inhibitor. So it is a good for us. Also there is a no endometrial hyperplasia, okay, with this AI. So it is a good for us. So try to remember 3 or 4 advantages and disadvantages of this letrozole and tamoxifen. Okay, so it's all about the female sex hormones, estrogens, and these are my references for today's video. Thank you.